In this section, we will learn to add or subtract rational expressions with like denominators. So recall that when we add or subtract fractions that have a like denominator, we simply add the numerators or subtract the numerators and keep the denominator. So to add or subtract rational expressions with like denominators, add or subtract the numerators and keep the common denominator. Here's an example. We have x minus 9 over x squared minus 36 plus 3 over x squared minus 36. Since we have a like denominator, we will keep the denominator, which is x squared minus 36, and in this case, add x minus 9 and 3. If we combine our like terms, negative 9 plus 3 is negative 6. This gives us x minus 6 over x squared minus 36. So all we've done, we recognize that we have a like denominator. So when we add or subtract fractions with the like denominator, the denominator stays, and we simply add the numerators. X minus 9 plus 3 is x minus 6, since we add negative 9 plus 3 are like terms. Okay, but now we also need to factor the denominator to simplify the fraction. So this is x minus 6. X squared minus 36 is a difference of squares. We have x plus 6 times x minus 6. And since we have a common factor of x minus 6, the x minus 6 and x minus 6 will divide to be 1. Recall that when the numerator, when the expression on the numerator divides to be 1, there's still a 1 left over on the numerator. So our final answer would be 1 over x plus 6. Here's another example. Let's subtract 2x squared minus 27 over x minus 4 minus x squared minus 11 over x minus 4. So let's first recognize that we have a common denominator. When we have a common denominator, we keep the common denominator and we simply add or subtract the numerators. Now in this case, let's be very careful. We need to make sure that we put parentheses around the expressions on the numerator. So we have parentheses 2x squared minus 27 minus parentheses x squared minus 11. Whenever adding or subtracting expressions on the numerator, always use parentheses, especially when there are multiple terms. Let's simplify this. 2x squared minus 27 is just 2x squared minus 27. However, the negative distributes to the x squared and to the negative 11, which makes the x squared a negative and the 11 a positive. Once again, when we subtract, we add the opposite of each term. So the x squared becomes a negative and the 11 becomes a positive, which is the opposite of each of these terms. And that is all over x minus 4. Let's combine our like terms. We have 2x squared minus x squared, which is x squared, negative 27 plus 11, which is negative 16, and that is all over x minus 4. The x squared minus 16 is a difference of squares, so we can factor this as x plus 4 times x minus 4, and we still have an x minus 4 on the denominator. Now the x minus 4 and the x minus 4, they divide to be 1, and the final answer is going to be x plus 4. And again, be careful here. Anytime you add or subtract fractions, put the numerators in parentheses, especially when there are multiple terms, because the common mistake is to take the negative and only distribute that to the x squared and not to the negative 11. But having a parentheses reminds us that this negative will distribute to the x squared and to the negative 11 as well.